Now let's talk about a deed in lieu of foreclosure. In lieu of is just another word for saying instead of. So what you're doing is you're giving the lender the deed to the property back instead of having them foreclose. Now, why would the lender accept the deed back instead of foreclosing? Well, a foreclosure is a time-consuming and expensive process for the lender. The lender has to hire an attorney, which means attorney's fees. There's costs associated with filing a foreclosure. And if they file a foreclosure, usually the person has stopped making the tax payments and the insurance payments, so they're now paying those as well. And they're having to pay the upkeep and the maintenance of the property. So if you can voluntarily offer the deed back to the lender in exchange for them, let's say, not pursuing a deficiency judgment, you can accomplish two things. One, you know they're not going to pursue you for collection. And two, again, you can avoid a foreclosure on your credit history because the judicial sale is not taking place if you voluntarily give the property back to the lender. So the lender has some financial incentive in many cases for accepting the deed back. And especially if you're not collectible or the lender believes you're not collectible, then they're really not going to be able to collect on a deficiency judgment anyways. So they might as well take the deed back. Now, it sounds easier than it really is. Why? Because most lenders would much prefer you sell the property than take the deed back. It's for that reason that in my experience, most of the time, the lender is going to require you to at least make a good faith attempt to sell the property before they'll agree to take the deed back and waive the deficiency. So you're usually going to have to list the property, make an attempt to sell it, show the lender the listing history and the listing agreement before you're eligible for a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Now, there's a difference between a deed in lieu of foreclosure and just signing the deed back to the lender. A deed in lieu of foreclosure is typically you're getting something in return. You're getting an agreement up front for the lender, where they agree in writing not to pursue you for a deficiency judgment. If you just voluntarily sign the deed over to the bank, they may not accept it and they may just continue with the foreclosure because they have the right to foreclose and pursue you for a deficiency judgment. So if you're not getting that agreement up front and the lender accepts your deed, they can still pursue you for a deficiency judgment. So that would defeat the purpose, or that would get rid of some of the leverage you had to negotiate. So you always want to use the leverage you have of costing the bank time and money foreclosing and use that in exchange to negotiate some concessions, namely having them agree to write it off as a bad debt and not pursue a deficiency judgment.